Hi there, Erin Lee here of heavenlymessenger.com. Thank you so much for joining me for this evening's Connection with Intention. It's always a pleasure for me to be able to connect with you in this way, and I'm grateful for the time that you're taking out of your day. I've noticed over the last several weeks when I've been talking, lots of questions have been coming in at the very beginning, and then I don't get to questions that come in later in the show. So my request is you are more than welcome to pop on to say hello. I would love to hear from you, but please hold on to your questions until I ask for them. That gives everybody a chance and an opportunity to ask a question. I'm going to pay attention to what point we're at in the comments when I do ask for questions, and anybody who's asked a question before that point, either you'll be asked to ask another question again later, or I'm just going to skip over it. That's the only way that I can think of to be fair. And I'm also, I've done this in the past. I'm going to do it again. If you've had a question answered in the last month or so, I may skip over your question this time. I want to make sure that we talk to as many people as possible and give as many people an opportunity to have a question read for them too, which is part of the reason that we're doing the Choose Your Crystal Adventure. So we'll do that in a moment. But until then, thank you so much for joining me. I love hearing from you. It's always great connecting. So there have been a lot of things that have been coming up recently, and today and over this past weekend, in my own personal conversations and also in the readings that I've been doing with clients, money has been coming up to the forefront. So I thought that's where we would start today and start talking about money and what exactly it is. There have been a lot of fears that have been coming up around either having enough money, having enough financial resources to support yourself or ourselves in general. And also on top of that, fears around like what money actually is. And I suspect that it has a lot to do with what's happening in the world right now. There is a lot of fear in the world at the moment right now, which I think brings underlying fears and underlying belief systems up to be examined and to be looked at. And I actually see this as being a really positive thing, because if we weren't aware that those beliefs were there underlying the surface, then we wouldn't be able to address them, and we just kind of continue going on with them. So when I look at money and the role that money plays in our lives in our modern society, money is the thing that helps us to support ourselves, and in turn also helps us to support the other people that we love and that we care about. But there's kind of an idea that has been perpetuated in our society for a long time that money is bad and money is evil. Money in and of itself isn't anything really. It's how that money is being used. And so, if one of the concerns that you have, either on a conscious or a subconscious level, is that if you have money, that you are then going to become evil or bad, all you have to do is look at, well, if you did have all of the resources that you needed to support yourself, how would you spend that money? Would you spend that money invading other countries, or sorry, that was perhaps not fair. Or would you spend it supporting yourself and supporting other people? Would you be involved in charities? Would you make sure that your neighbor, if they were struggling, that they had the help and the support that they need? You know, for the average person, the way that we would choose to spend money if we had extra, if we had surplus, is not to deny others or to squash others, but we would look for ways to make our lives better, which gives us more opportunity and more ability to help and share with others. If we go back and look at what society was like before money was introduced, we lived in a society where there was barter and exchange. I would do something that I was good at or that I really enjoyed, and that something would be something that I'd be able to barter with you. And you were doing something that you loved and enjoyed. And back and forth, we were able to support each other because, one, we had the resources that we need, and we were able to do things, we were able to contribute, and we were able to support ourselves. The reason that money came about is because just because I had bananas and you had oranges, but I needed apples, so I'd have to trade my apples with you to get your oranges to be able to trade for the apples that I needed from this other person. And that's why the bartering system has kind of gone the way that it has. Money helped to facilitate the exchanges that we had. There's still that energy of love that's there. The more that each of us have, the easier it is to help and support others. And I truly believe that that is one of the biggest shifts that we need to make when it comes to ourselves having enough resources. And I think about the stress that the lack of money places on many people's lives. And if you're somebody who struggles with money or having enough money, one of the things that you might want to go through as an exercise is ask yourself, if I didn't have to worry about how I was going to pay my bills, or if I was going to have enough money to put food on the table, or if I was going to have enough to support my kids going to school, or if I'm going to have enough money for my retirement, if you took all of the time and energy that you spent on thinking about those things or worrying about those things, if that went away, can you imagine what you would be able to do in that time if you didn't have that worry that was draining you? And so part of the shift is seeing money as a form of love and an energetic exchange. We all know that we deserve love. We deserve to give and receive love. And there's the opportunity for this paradigm to start shifting, to allow us to move into something else where we are being supported on financial levels that allows us to be supported in other ways as well. So, just a little thought, money has definitely been on the minds of many people that I've been connecting with recently. So, if it's been on your mind as well, take this opportunity to think about how you think about money, how you perceive money. We have a really powerful full moon that's coming up in the next couple of days, and this might be a wonderful opportunity to let go of belief systems that are no longer serving you, particularly if they're belief systems that are holding you down and holding you back. Now is a great time to be springing forward. Awesome. So I see that we do have a couple of hellos. I'm going to say hello to everybody. We'll pop over to we'll pop over to the Choose Your Crystal adventure. And in a moment, I will open things up so that you can ask your specific questions. So hello to Brianne and Tracy. Tracy, it's been a while since you've been on. Thanks for joining us. And hello to Kathy. It's wonderful to see you. And Tanya, I haven't seen you in ages either. Thanks for joining us. Cassandra and Diane. Oh my gosh, lots of people we haven't seen in a while. Hello. Jenna, hi. It's great to see you. Hello, Lynette and Brenda and Anne. Thank you. And Marcy, thank you all so much for joining us, you guys. It's a pleasure connecting with you this evening. So I will open up. Let me see. How do I do this? I will open up to questions now. So let me see. So if you have any questions, if you're wanting a reading this evening, please, anybody below JC is when we opened things up. So hi, JC, it's great to see you. Please pop your questions into the comments. Please be specific in the question that you are asking. I'm not doing mediumship readings this evening, so that's connecting with deceased loved ones. Hopefully you were able to catch Bobby on Sunday when she did her live. If you want me to use a specific deck of cards, please include it with the initial question that you're asking. So the yellow deck is the Archangel Oracle card deck. We have the green deck, which is the messages from your angels. And we have the blue deck, which are the mermaids and dolphins. Okay, so let's pull up our Choose Your Own Adventure crystal reading. Oh, of course, my little banner doodad gets in the way with that. All right. So for some reason, the clear quartz didn't come out very clear this evening, but our crystal choices are citrine, apatite, and clear quartz. So what I'm going to encourage you to do, ask you to do, is think about a question you may have. You are welcome to think about more than one question if you would like. And ask which question, or pardon me, which crystal best represents the answer that you are needing. We'll pull a couple of cards in a moment. So take a deep breath, think about your question, and ask which crystal is going to represent your question for this evening. So we have citrine on the left, blue apatite in the middle, and even though it doesn't look it, we've got clear quartz on the right. I think I've got my sides right. So actually, this is kind of perfect. We're gonna so our citrine, this card is for citrine. We have this card for blue apatite. Oops, got a jumper. And we're going to use this deck for the clear quartz. And when I was choosing the cards this evening, I wanted to choose cards that were really good for manifestation and for abundance, as that was the topic for the evening. So I'm going to pull this down. There you go. All right. So if you chose the citrine card, well, this is really interesting. The message that we have here is from Archangel Azrael, and it's hello from heaven. Your loved ones in heaven are doing fine. Let go of worries and feel their loving blessings. So not only is this card coming up to let you know that your deceased loved ones on the other side are well, that they're thinking about you, but there are also ways that they are helping and supporting you right now as well. We've been talking a lot recently on Universal Connections about how our loved ones are coming through to let us know that they're around. Often they'll leave dimes or loonies or toonies if you're really lucky. And there are lots of little ways that they can let you know that they're around, helping and supporting you. So keep an eye out for that. On top of that, Archangel Azrael is a fabulous angel to work with when it comes to dealing with grief or any challenges or blocks that you may be experiencing with moving forward. So if you're experiencing stagnation, or you're having a hard time on an emotional level, call on Archangel Azrael, ask him for help and support in being able to move forward, in stepping into your best life as yourself, moving forward. So there's lots of love and lots of support that's coming up from Archangel Azrael. Citrine is all about clearing, and it is a fabulous manifestation crystal as well. So whatever it is that you're wanting to focus on, clear out what is holding you back. Call on Archangel Azrael, ask him for help and support with that, and then move forward. What are you wanting to create? The next card that we have here is if you chose apatite, blue apatite. This was the crystal in the middle. And the card that we have here is set your sights higher. Increase your standards and expect more for yourself. Don't settle. And it's interesting because I just did a video reading for somebody, and this was the only card that we pulled for them. And the message that was coming up was what was in the past, that's becoming your new low. Like what you asked for before, that's the new baseline, and everything that you're asking for now is above that. So recognize the work and the healing that you've done. You're no longer back in the past settling for whatever you settled for in the past. That's become the high that you had then has become the new low now. So ask yourself, am I stuck back in something that's no longer serving me? Are the things that I'm expecting now, are these in alignment with what I actually believe, or is this in alignment with what I believed to be true for myself in the past? One of the things that I'm noticing right now is a lot of stuck energy, being stuck in old ideas, stuck in the past, stuck in things that no longer serve. So see this as a message for everyone that now is a really great opportunity for us to be letting go and releasing what no longer serves us. And of course, the last crystal that we had, this is the clear quartz crystal, is Serena. And she's all about abundance. I am the angel of abundance. You will receive the money that you need, and God is in charge of how that will happen. Have faith. I just have to laugh because abundance has been such a big part of everything that's been coming up recently. So when Serena comes up, it's usually because we are we have fears or we're worried or we're being held back or held down by something. And she's coming through with this great, big, huge opening breath of air, inviting in new opportunities where everything was stuck. She's saying, let's open this up. We don't have to break it apart, but let's just allow. Let's allow things to open, allow the blossoming to happen. So if you've chosen the clear quartz card, or pardon me, crystal as your answer, know that it's important to step back from the situation that you're in, to breathe and to allow things to be happening. One thing that I do want to say, we've been talking a lot about money, but abundance comes in a lot of different ways. Abundance is having the time, the energy, the resources, health, love. It talks about all of the things that we need in order to experience our lives here in a physical way. I think it's really important to recognize that we are spiritual beings having a physical experience, but part of that physical experience does not have to be struggle. We have the resources. Now just allow yourself to receive them. Awesome. So we'll pop back to the comments. And again, if you would like to ask a question, please be specific. We'll just pop in and we will say hello to everybody who's joined us. Oh my gosh, you guys, you have been busy on here. So Anne, it looks like your question came in before we asked. So please, if you want to ask the question again, I'd love to connect with you. Marie, hello. And JC, hi, thanks for joining us. Hello to Cassandra. Oh, Anne, you're right on it. I see you've done it. And Cassandra and Jenna, Lynette, hello. Kathy and Tracy and Holly, hello. Thanks for joining us. And Brenda. Let's see, Tanya, Kayla, hello. It's wonderful to see all of you. Thanks so much for joining us. Okay, let me see. I've gotten lost here in all of the comments. Where are we going? Okay, so Cassandra says, feeling the spring forward, played with dirt today, prepping seeds. That's awesome. Yeah, there's definitely a shift and a change that's happening on an energetic level. And, I see it as being more than just a change in season. Like there's so much that we are releasing, we're sloughing off. And, either the things that we've experienced over the last 2 years or just what's been happening over the last couple of months, everybody feels like they are ready for new openings and new change. And it's feeling really positive. Now is a great time for things like sea salt bath, or as with Cassandra, like getting into the dirt, getting into the energy of the earth. It's a wonderful time. Okay, so we've got Anne here. Hi, Anne. I'm so glad that you asked again. Anne saying, will me and my guy recover from the situation we are having at the moment and move forward together in a relationship? Okay, so let's take a look and see what we have coming up for you, Anne. So first of all, it doesn't feel like you guys have completely untangled the challenges that you're in right now. It feels like there are still things that are kind of pressure points. And actually part of the way that I'm seeing it, it's almost like being caught in thorns and brambles and like just trying to move through it and past it. But in doing that, like all of the thorns are getting in a little bit deeper and everything is kind of bleeding. So it's what I'm seeing is the need to make sure that you guys are slowing down and taking the time to unravel the hurts in the situation that you're in right now. When I ask, it feels like both of you are invested in wanting to move forward, but the timing isn't quite right for forward movement because there are still things that you're needing to sort out right now. But I do see it as being a really positive thing that you're both interested and invested in moving forward together. But I would encourage you to take those steps slowly. And it feels like in doing that in a really intentional way, in an intentional manner, you are rebuilding the foundation and you're making it even better than it was before. So sometimes when we build a foundation, we do things really hurriedly because we're really wanting to get to the next step. And what I'm seeing is what you've been going through has said, hey, like we're taking things right down to the ground and we're going to build this up and we're going to make sure that we do it right. And I'm hearing like homes on homes. And Mike Holmes says that you have to build it right. I can't remember the exact phrase that he used, but that's what I'm getting is like, we're going to We're going to level this down, and we're going to do this right and make sure that we're doing it intentionally. So I do see that there is a lot of positive, there's a lot of opportunity in the relationship that the two of you have. There is like building and growth that's happening that is feeling really exciting. But make sure you take your time with it and make sure that you are both equally invested. We're going to go to the archangels, and we're just going to ask what messages are coming up for Anne in her relationship and partnership moving forward. And I'm wanting to ask one for for the next 3 months, because that feels like that's going to be a significant time for you. And we're asking for overall. So over the next 3 months, we've got teaching and learning. This is Archangel Zadkiel, and he says, keep an open mind and learn ideas, then teach these ideas to others. So what that's saying to me is that you're not quite in the place, as we said earlier, where you're able to start like moving forward right now. There's still learning that both of you are involved in. And rather than trying to push or force things, just give space for that learning to happen, because that's going to be what you're needing in the long run. Oh, I truly could not have chosen a better card for this next card. So this was the card that we had asked to represent relationship moving forward. And this is the beloved one card. This is Archangel Shamuel. His message is, I am helping you with your spiritual soulmate relationship. This card is talking about, it is the romance card. It's the relationship partnership card in this deck. And that says to me that that the relationship that you're in does have soulmate aspects and energy to it. So you guys are in each other's lives for a reason. And it feels like there is the opportunity for that reason to continue to grow and to build. But as I said, there's a lot of learning that needs to be done, and you can't bypass that learning and just get into the good stuff. You have to do the work. So, and I'm so incredibly grateful that you joined us this evening. Thank you. I'm sending big hugs, lots of love and support and healing to you and to your guy moving forward. Awesome. Okay, so we've got JC here. Hi, JC. Thanks for joining us. JC's asking about how her son is doing. Hasn't been to the island, and we're asking about the yellow deck. Okay, so when I tap in and I connect with your son, JC, first of all, he feels like he's grounding, and he's feeling more and more present in his physical body than I have experienced him in the past. So it feels to me like he's showing me that he is coming more into this life again. It feels like he's having a difficult time coming up to the idea of transitioning back into life as it has been in the past. But it feels like this is part of what he is starting to think about and starting to work towards. And I kind of, what is the best way to describe it? It's almost like having been out of the pattern of doing something. Actually, no, the best way to describe it, when I was in my much younger years, I was in a really bad car accident. I was actually in 2 really bad car accidents. But in the first car accident, I was 17. I was still in school, and I was driving my mom's car, and it was completely totaled when the other car hit me. And even though we only had one other vehicle in the family, my dad gave me the keys that night, and he said, you have to go over to your friend's place. You have to go out and drive again. And I realize now that the reason that he told me to do that was because if I didn't go out and drive that night, I would have started to create fears and concerns about being able to drive again. And that's what I'm seeing coming up for your son. Is it feels like he, having been separate from everybody, from living in the world that we're in right now, he's not 100% sure how he's going to start to transition into coming back in. So I am seeing him being in a more positive place. It feels like these are things that he is starting to think about. And part of what I'm seeing is when you do go to the island, I'm wanting to encourage you to create space when you go where it would be safe for him to come closer. So it feels like you and possibly anybody else who is with you at the time will be sitting in circle. Possibly there will be some drumming, but it's feeling like it's a really welcoming experience where you are inviting in his energy. And I am seeing him coming closer to being with you. He shows me some sort of clearing, some sort of place that feels like it feels like it's safe, because it is a clearing, but there's also treed and forested area around where he is able to quickly go back if he feels the need. So he is feeling like he's coming closer. Let's see. We're going to the yellow deck and we're just going to ask what messages are coming up for JC. Um, we have the indigo and crystal children card. I see this as wonderful confirmation. This is Archangel Metatron, and he says you have a bond with children. In particular, you can help children who are sensitive. And part of what I'm hearing is that he's needing some of the mothering, the nurturing, the maternal medicine that you have to share. So know that it feels like his energy is starting to shift and he is starting to come to a place where he is open to connecting with the people who are still here. JC, it's always a pleasure connecting with you. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm sending big hugs, lots of love and support to you, to your son, and to all who love him. Let me see. Oh, and Cassandra says, no question today, just joining with positive energies. Thank you. It is always so good to connect with you. And I, appreciate each and every one of you, whether you're coming in to connect for a question or if you're wanting to share some positive vibes. Thank you. Okay, we've got Jenna here. Hi, Jenna. Thanks for joining us. Jenna says, our old dog is getting closer and closer to passing over. Yeah. Any indication from the angels on just how soon she will pass or ways I can support her transition? Um, so I'm hearing treats. I don't know that that's coming from the angels, though. I suspect that that's coming. I suspect that that's coming from your old dog. But it feels like that's part of what's coming up, is making sure that the physical time that she has here is as comfortable and enjoyable as possible. I suspect that you are already doing that, but she's showing me just extras, extra love, extra cuddle time. I would say extra walks, but that doesn't feel like that's comfortable. So whatever you're able to do to have time with her outside feels like that's important and significant. I'm not getting a really clear timeline on, when or how she is passing. It, yeah, I'm torn, because on the one hand, I am both seeing her just going down to sleep and just not getting back up again, but I'm also seeing that there might be a bit of assistance that comes with that. It doesn't feel like it is a violent passing, so that's feeling positive. But she's also showing me she's not quite ready yet, possibly in part because of the treats that are still coming, but also what I'm seeing with her is that she's showing me she still has energy to be here. She still wants to love you, to let you know that she's part of your life. She enjoys being part of your family, and I'm seeing many people being around her as she's passing. Though at the same time, it kind of reminds me, I don't know if you've ever tried to fall asleep while somebody was staring at you. Like, don't do that. But she's showing me knowing that she is surrounded in love. And I'm hearing soon. And it feels to me like the weather is warm. I suspect that she will not be around for cool weather again. And that it feels like that is kind of her, that is possibly her tipping point, but there is something that's coming up around the weather. I'm also wanting to make sure that her temperature is as comfortable as possible too. We're going to go to the archangels, and we're just going to ask, what does Jenna need to know about supporting her puppy? Whoops, we've got this one falling out. And the card that we have here is Healthy Lifestyle. This is Archangel Raphael, and his message is eat a healthful diet, get adequate sleep, and exercise regularly for optimal health. I mean, this feels like this is also exactly what your puppy is needing, is all of the healthy aspects that are possible. I'm seeing encouragement that's coming up for you and for family members as well, to make sure that you are doing the things that you need to support yourself. But the bigger message here is Archangel Raphael. Archangel Raphael is coming through and letting you know that he is helping and supporting your puppy with her health and well-being, and also with you guys being able to recognize if it's time for assistance in passing over. Yeah, but do know that Archangel Raphael is helping and supporting you, and is helping and supporting her in where she is and in the transition process as well. Jenna, it's always a pleasure connecting with you. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm sending big hugs, lots of love and support your way, and also to your puppy too. All right. Okay, so we've got Lynette here. Hi, Lynette. Thanks for joining us. Lynette's wondering, what do I need to know about my anticipated move and location? Okay, well, let's take a look and see what we've got coming up. So the first thing actually that I'm noticing is I'm feeling really stiff in my body when I'm connecting with you. And I've got a lot of stiffness and discomfort that feels like it's coming up in through my lower body. So it feels like I'm wanting to encourage you, if you are wanting or needing to move, to make sure that you are loosening things up in the lower part of your body. So legs in through hips. This area has to do with stability, security, and it's all part of how we ground our energy with the earth. If you are ready to uproot yourself, then it's important to start the uprooting process in your physical body as well. And I am feeling the need to move. So physically moving your body feels like that's significant. When I ask about the moving process itself, once you have your place to go, then it feels like everything comes into alignment. So whether you have to sell a home in order to make a move, or give notice in order to make a move, that all feels like it's fairly simple and straightforward. It's more about, where are we going and where are we landing. And what I'm seeing, it's hard for me to pinpoint exactly where it is, because the images that I'm getting are feeling fairly general, but it does feel like it's something that is, it feels like it's a home or a space that is outside of the urban area. I don't know that I would call it suburban though, because it's feeling more rural than that. And I say rural only because I'm seeing a lot of forested area, a lot of tree. When I look at the roads, they don't feel like they're the wide roads that have like sidewalks on them. It feels like it's a road that possibly doesn't even have a line down the middle. And so that to me would indicate that it's a road that is used in a variety of ways. It feels like it has a shoulder as opposed to a sidewalk. And as I said, I've got a lot of treed areas that are coming up. If this is not the type of area that you're wanting to move to, I would encourage you to get out to an area like this, because that's going to help to clear your energy, so that the space that you're wanting to move to, like if you're wanting something that's more suburban or urban, that those opportunities will open up. So this message is either coming up because that's the type of area that you're heading to, or that you're needing to get out to an area like that to clear your energy so that you're able to create what you are wanting to move to. So the things that I have coming up for you are physical movement, particularly in the lower part of your body, to open things up. And I've got actually all through the body, all through my trunk and torso and up into my heart, that there's healing and releasing that's needing to happen in these areas, movement that is needed. And either heading into a rural area for the move, or that you need to get out into those areas to connect with, to release what's no longer serving you, so you can get clear on where it is that you're going. We're going to go to the messages, or pardon me, the mermaids and dolphins, and we're just going to ask what messages are coming up for Lynette around the move. And the card that we have here is the consultant expert card. So more information is needed. Contact someone with expertise in this area. So again, I suspect that that's possibly part of where things are getting stopped up. So I would say we're looking either at like a real estate agent, or if you're looking at rental, like a rental agent, to help to find out what is available in the area that you're wanting to be in. Again, I've got a lot of treed area, and it feels to me like it's more rural than it is urban or suburban. And if that's not what you're wanting, you need to get out into one of those areas to clear out your energy to invite in the other. But more information is needed, and this is not a choice and a decision that you're going to be able to make with the information that you have. So find more information, and talking to somebody who has experience and expertise in this particular area and field is really helpful. Lynette, thank you so much for joining us. It was a pleasure connecting with you. I'm sending big hugs, lots of love and support your way. Let me see. So we've got Kathy here. Hi, Kathy. Thanks for joining us. Kathy says, will my granddaughter be happy with her placement in the dance competition in Toronto this weekend? Oh, that's exciting. Okay, so when I ask, first of all, she's showing me clearing the way. So it's really interesting. I'm seeing her not. It doesn't feel like she's competing with anybody else. It feels like she's competing with herself. And that feels like that's one of the best things that she could possibly do, is rather than trying to be the best of everybody that's there, she is trying to be her best. And that feels like that is a big part of what this experience is all about for her, is doing the best that she can. And that is what she needs to ask of herself. When I ask, she is showing me a fabulous performance. She's showing me that she is dancing her heart out. Her heart is lifted. And just being on the stage feels like it is a dream come true. So, I'm not sure that she is necessarily happy with where she will place, where her placement is. But I see that there is a lot for her to be proud of in the dance that she performs and how she handles herself and what she takes of the experience. I'm really wanting to encourage that. I do see her placing quite well, but I'm really wanting to emphasize the experience that she's having and encouraging her to live in the moment of the experience. So not to compete with others, but to bring forth her best self. Let's see, what messages do we have coming up for Kathy's granddaughter? We have the nurture card. This is Archangel Gabrielle, and her message is, as you nurture a child, you nurture your own inner child. Both activities are important for you right now. That's really interesting given the question that you've asked. And I suspect that a big part of what's coming to the forefront is that it is important for you, or possibly for her parents, to focus on being the best that she can be. And possibly this is part of what was needing to be heard for yourself, or for her parents, is, being your best is what is the most important. And as you nurture that within yourself, or as you nurture that within her, you nurture it within yourself. And I'm seeing it being a really beautiful experience for you. And I see for her parents as well. So yeah, lots of really positive experiences coming up. Kathy, it's always a pleasure connecting with you. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm sending big hugs, lots of love and support to you and to your granddaughter. May she have a fabulous competition this weekend. All right, so we've got Tracy here. Hi, Tracy. It's so good to see you again. I was actually thinking about you just today. Tracy's saying, I'm wondering if my work goals I'm working towards are going to be enough for me to live off of. Let me see. What do we have coming up? So when I tap in, immediately I'm seeing you making really big strides. So it feels to me like you are extending yourself and pushing yourself, and you are making really big strides. I'm kind of wanting to encourage you to focus on taking smaller steps, because in order to take the really big steps that I'm seeing you taking, you're really extending and exerting yourself. But if you took two smaller steps, you'd actually be further ahead, and you would expend the same amount of energy. So I'm wondering if part of what's coming up is that you're focusing on growing really quickly so that you can get to where you need to be, but actually you grow faster if the steps that you take are smaller and not as pushed. So it does feel to me like you are going to be able to support yourself with what you're doing, but I actually want to encourage you to slow down. And living and learning in a culture that says bigger is better, and the harder you work, the more that you get, it makes sense that you're pushing the way that you are. But if you ease off and ease back just a bit, it feels to me like there are more opportunities that you're able to experience and to explore. And it also feels like there might be a slight segue into a slightly different direction. So I'm seeing you heading off in this direction here, like this, and it's like there's just a little. It's still in the same. It's still in the same genre. It's still in the same area. You're just kind of veering off a little bit to the side, and that's where everything starts opening up. And it's interesting because it's almost like ripples. Like what I'm seeing is this thing blossoming, and then from that this thing is blossoming, and then this thing is blossoming. So there is lots of opportunity here. So yes, you will be able to support yourself, but slow down and see if there's an opportunity for you to slightly veer off of the course that you're on right now that actually gives you more opportunities in the long run. And I'm also hearing it's bringing you more joy too. So we're just going to ask what messages are coming up for Tracy around goals and, how have you put it, work goals. Any messages for Tracy around her work goals? This is really interesting. I'm actually going to ask for a clarifying card for this for you. So the card that we have here is the Father Healing card. Your personal power increases as you give any father-related issues to heaven. And it's interesting because often this card doesn't necessarily have to do with relationship that we have with our fathers, but it can also have to do with relationships with money and relationships with authority. And it feels like that's part of what you are working with and what you are dealing with. And again, going back to, backing away from the idea that I have to push or have to force in order to succeed, in order to be successful, but that it is okay to take those smaller bites, the smaller steps that are more comfortable, and you end up going further in the long run. The qualifying card that I pulled for you is the Divine Magic card. And this is really interesting because part of the function of this card is to magnify the messages of the cards around it. So the Father Healing card was definitely a card to focus on. And again, it may have to do with relationship with a parent, but I often see this card coming up with how we look at money or how we look at how we earn money. So sometimes people will have a belief that in order to be financially successful, they need to have a 9-to-5 job. And if you're self-employed, then you're never going to get anywhere. And it can be a challenge if you're deciding to do something where you're self-employed in order to build up the resources that you need. So take a look and see if there are any old messages or ideas that aren't yours that have been plugged in. Extra magical energy surrounds your situation right now. Expect miracles. So I see this as being an incredibly supportive and positive card and message that's coming up for you around the work goals that you are working on. So slow it down a little bit, but know that there are lots of opportunities and expect miracles. I mean, that's an amazing message. Tracy, it's always a pleasure connecting with you. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm sending big hugs, lots of love and support your way. All right, we've got Holly here. Hi, Holly. Thanks for joining us. Let me see. So Holly's saying, hoping to see if my hair will regain itself. Okay. And if it's attached to any health concerns. All right, let's take a look and see what we have. So what I'm wanting to say is it feels to me like there's been a thinning. Like I'm looking at the number of hair follicles, and it feels like that's part of the challenge. And I'm wanting to say that part of what you're experiencing is like a thinning in hair. So it's not that the hair follicle isn't as thick. It feels like there aren't as many as there have been in the past. It does feel like there is a regrowth that's going to be happening, but it's interesting that it hasn't happened yet, because what I'm seeing is that it feels like all of the circumstances are there for your hair to come back in as it naturally is. That's the way that I'm wanting to describe it. So it feels like something has happened that has either caused some of your hair to fall out or to leave. But at the same time, it feels like that has been resolved. So I don't know if you've gone through any sort of treatment that would cause your hair to fall out or not to be as abundant and plentiful as it usually is. But that's kind of what I'm feeling. And I'm wanting to check things like nutrient and mineral and vitamin levels, only because that's interesting though, because I keep seeing that you have the resources that you need to be growing the hair. So that makes me wonder if those resources are being directed somewhere else. And so I'm just going to ask, are there any health concerns that are needing to be addressed? And I am getting a yes. I just wish I had a direction to point you in. Because as I said, like I'm wanting to go into minerals and vitamins and nutrients to make sure that you have what you need. I'm seeing that you have what you need. And yet at the same time, it's not being directed to your hair. It's being directed somewhere else. And that feels like that could be an indicator that there is something that is going on. I'm not getting anything more than that. Health, medical intuition is not my forte, but I am wanting to encourage you to connect with either family healthcare professional or other healthcare professional that you trust, because it does feel like there is something more that's going on here. And again, like it feels like this is coming down to the allocation of resources, and your body is just saying, we're not prioritizing here, we're prioritizing this other function. And because it doesn't feel like you don't have enough of these things in your diet in order to support that. So do pop in, talk to family doctor or other healthcare professional, because it feels like there's something that's just not quite in alignment as it needs to be. I do see your hair coming back in, which is feeling positive, but there is something that you're needing to do to support that. We're just going to ask, what do you need? And we've got gifts from God. This is Archangel Sandalphon. His message is, we angels bring you gifts from your creator. Open your arms to receive. So when this card comes up, first of all, Archangel Sandalphon is the angel who lifts our prayers up to God, source, and universe. And when he comes through, he's saying, yep, we've heard your prayers, they've been delivered. Now just see how they're going to be, how they're going to manifest, and how we're going to create that for you. So there is a lot of excitement that comes with this card. I am seeing this coming up in either receiving the help and the resources that you need to find out what is happening in your body so that your hair does come back in. I'm also hearing patience coming up too. So again, if you've had any sort of treatment or anything that would have an impact on how your hair is growing, it feels like patience could be part of the message that's coming up. But I do want to encourage you to check in with a healthcare provider just to make sure that there isn't anything else that's going on, particularly as it would relate to vitamins, minerals, and nutrients in the body. Holly, it was such a pleasure connecting with you. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm sending big hugs, lots of love and support your way. We'll call on Archangel Raphael. We'll ask him to help and support you as well. Raphael helps and supports us with physical healing and with our health. And he's also the patron saint and angels of healthcare workers. So we'll ask that you find the proper people and the proper resources that you need to support your health and healing journey. Thanks for joining us. All right, we've got Brenda here. Hi, Brenda. Thanks for joining us. Brenda says, do you see the nerve pain getting better so I can get back to somewhat of a normal life normal and independent life? It's been a very hard few years. Yes. Let me see. So it feels like what I'm hearing is interference, that there's some form of nerve interference. Again, medical intuition is not my forte, but what I'm seeing is that it feels like something is blocking the nerve root, and because of that block, it keeps sending off little spurts. It's almost like a microphone, like testing 1 2 3, is this thing on? And because the root isn't being completed, or it isn't going as it needs to, that's why it's sending back this ouch message. What are we doing with this? So yeah, I'm wanting to take a look at releasing or removing or changing or adjusting the interference that I'm seeing here, and it's being represented to me as like you get to experience my snazzy dazzy, my drawing. So it looks to me, I hope you can see this. This is how the nerve is supposed to be, like this. But what you have is you've got some sort of interference like this, and it's creating challenge in moving through. And so it feels like as soon as we release that resistance, that then everything starts moving smoothly. Where are you going? I'm wondering about chiropractic, but that doesn't feel like that's quite the answer, but it feels like that starts to get you on the right path or the right direction. I am seeing that there is some sort of additional help and support that you are needing. I'm just not exactly sure who you would go to for that, but I suspect that if you were to look at the physical and say, hey, like we've done everything that we can to release on a physical level, what's the next step? I am seeing that there is some support that is available to you, but it does feel like you're needing to advocate for yourself in getting that help and support. So the short answer to your question is yes, I do see you I do see your nerve pain getting better so that you can get back to normal and independent life, but it does feel like there's some help and support that is needed in order to come to that point in place. I keep hearing Archangel Raphael popping up, showing me that he is going to help and support you in finding the people that you need to be talking to who are going to be able to offer help and support. I keep seeing my chiropractor in my head. And so that's part of the reason that I'm wanting to encourage you to look into chiropractic, because one, either it is going to rule out any sort of physical challenge, and or it's also going to point you in the direction that I'm seeing you needing to go in. So the card that we have here, it's Archangel Metatron, and his message is all about prioritize. Focus on your highest priorities. I will help you get organized and motivated. And what that says to me is that this is something that is a priority to be addressed, to be looking forward, looking at moving forward so that you can get the help that you need and so that your body comes back into alignment, because it does. It feels like it's incredibly uncomfortable, and it feels like it's exhausting because it feels like it's fairly consistent. Like it's constantly checking. Are we working? Are we working? No. Okay. Are we working? Are we working? No. And that feels incredibly exhausting and draining. So please pop in. I'm seeing chiropractic, and it feels like that's a different pathway in a different direction to get the help and support that you need. Brenda, it's always a pleasure connecting with you. Thank you for joining me. I'm sending big hugs, lots of love and support your way, and Archangel Raphael to help you on your healing journey too. So we've got Marcy here. Hi, Marcy. Thanks for joining us. I see that you chose citrine for your crystal. I hope that that helped and supported you. So Marcy's asking about PTSD. Will it start to get better? It's been a rough few months. So first of all, I'm sending so much love and support your way. PTSD is one of those really challenging things to deal with. So lots of love and support to you. Let's ask. So what I'm seeing is hurdles, that you've already overcome several hurdles in the healing process and journey, and that's feeling really awesome. I do have more that are coming up, but they're spaced further apart. So what I'm seeing is, like, initially, if you think about like running hurdles, and I'm saying this as somebody, one, who has never run hurdles, probably never will run hurdles, and I don't know that I've ever actually watched people run hurdles. So, take this for what it is. But I'm seeing a track with hurdles set up, and the first ones are spaced really, really close together. And it's like you'd have to jump big, like really big jump to get over these hurdles. It feels like they've kind of tripped you up a bit, but you've gotten back up and you've started running and you're running more. One of the things that I'm appreciating about this is you've overcome a lot already. I am seeing that there are still more to come, but they aren't as close together. So there aren't as many of them. It's not as big as what you've dealt with already. And they're also spaced out as well. So that says to me that there is some peace, but you're still working on things. But then there's some peace, but then you're working, and some peace, and then you're working. And so one of the things that can be really challenging when we're on a healing journey like this is perspective. Because when you're in it and when you're living it, it can be really difficult to go back and say, man, 6 months ago, I was in a very different place and I've improved so much. So it can be really important to look back at the progress that you've already made. I'm wanting to also like create a bit of safe space and soft space for yourself. So if it is at all possible to create some softness and some stress-freedness from other obligations or things that might be calling on your attention, to just allow yourself to reset. It kind of reminds me of my computer after it does some updates. It will let me know that it's updating, and then, oh, we need to restart the computer in order for the updates to really kind of take place. And it feels like that's part of where you are. Like you're doing all of these updates, you're doing all of these healings and stuff, but haven't necessarily had the space or the room to just do that reset for like a really good sleep or a really good purge or some really good walks. Some of the getting back to basics kind of things that we can often put off when we're in the middle of things and we're feeling tired. So I do see things getting better. Citrine was the perfect crystal of the 3 crystals to choose. because citrine is all about clearing out our energy. I'd also encourage you to take a look into moon ceremonies that you can do if you have the energy to. I realize that energy might be at a premium for you, but we do have a full moon coming up in a couple of days. I believe it's on the 18th, and today is the 15th. The full moon is all about releasing the things that we have resolved, the things that no longer serve us, and the things that we are ready to let go of so that we can start building and creating new. So if you are going to do like looking back over the last several months and see how far you've come, ask that anything that you've already healed, ask that it be fully and completely released so that you can move forward. It's kind of like taking off a jacket and just throwing it on the floor and just not picking it up again because you move into a new house. Oh, that was kind of an interesting analogy. Let's take a quick look at a card for you, Marie. So we're just asking, what does Marie need to know about the healing? I'm going to call it the healing process that you're going through right now. And I'm seeing, first of all, I'm sending you great, big, huge hugs. I want to encourage you to give yourself really big, loving, and supportive hugs too, because my goodness, you've done an amazing job. Yes. So the card that we have here for you is the victory card. This is Archangel Sandalphon. Your prayers have been heard and answered. Have faith. So, when you're asking, will it get better? Is it going to start to get better? Absolutely. You're on the right path. You're heading in the right direction, and you've got lots of support in what you're doing too. So be easy with yourself as much as you can be, and know that you are making beautiful progress. Marie, it was such a pleasure connecting with you. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm sending big hugs, lots of love and healing support your way. Okay, we've got Diane here. Hi, Diane. Thanks for joining us. It's been a while. So Diane is asking, will I get the promotion at work? And she says, any deck is fine. We're going to go to these guys. Yeah, you are. But I'm not sure if it's the promotion that you're specifically asking about, because what I'm seeing is that there's a bit of space. So it feels like there's a promotion that is available potentially like now and coming up quickly, but I'm also seeing one that's coming up a little bit later. So either you've got two that you're getting, or you don't get this one, but there's another one that comes up afterwards that feels like it's even better. So I do see a promotion that's coming up for you. The time frame I'm seeing feels like it's 3 or 4 months from now, which is also kind of making me wonder, because it does feel like there is one that's coming up. It's feeling like it's really quick. I do see it being important to go through the application process, and it feels like it's important to ask questions too. Do you have any concerns about me taking on this promotion? Is there any reason that you wouldn't hire me to take on this promotion, to do this work? Is there anything that I can be doing now that would help to put me in a better place for the next promotion when it comes up? So it feels like you're taking this opportunity, and this almost feels like it's a little bit of a test run. So don't worry if this particular one doesn't come through, because there's another one that's coming up that feels like it's even better suited to you. That said, if you do get the promotion this time, still look for opportunities to promote yourself into something else within the same structure and organization, because this feels like it fits. But it kind of reminds me of wearing a size 9 shoe when you have an 8.5 foot. Yes, you can definitely fit your foot into a size 9 shoe. It's only a half size bigger, but an 8.5 means that you're not going to trip over your feet. I'm really enjoying the analogies they're giving us tonight, you guys. I give that to you. This is not me. This is the fun that they're having with us. So we're going to the mermaids and dolphins, and we're just going to ask, what does Diane need to know about promotion? Simplify your life is the message that we have coming up. Eliminate clutter from your home and work life to balance the flow of activities. So this feels like this could have to do with something that you are focusing on with work that isn't as important as you may think it is. So again, it feels like it's helpful to have this conversation with whoever is hiring you, and just seeing if there's anything that you're focusing on or anything that you aren't focusing on that they would like to see you focus on. It does feel like it's a good, supportive environment that you're in. And I am seeing them being really open to connecting with you, to helping and supporting you in doing better in the organization. So all of that is feeling really positive, and it feels like they're open to having these conversations, which is feeling really helpful and supportive. So simplify in your personal life, in your work life, in your home space. Simplify, release things that no longer serve. Diane, it's always a pleasure connecting with you. Thank you for joining me. I'm sending big hugs, lots of love and support your way. And we're going to ask the abundance angels to connect with you too. Ask them for some help with the promotion. Awesome. Let me see. We've got Tanya here. Hi, Tanya. Tanya saying, I want to sell my business inventory. Is now a good time to find a buyer? And the mermaid deck. Okay, let's take a look and see. Yes, I have a bit of hesitation. Now is the time to start setting the intention, to start, gathering all of your inventory, to be pricing and to be evaluating it. That it feels like it's a really good time to be doing that. But I'm seeing something that's kind of holding off. I've got May, June of 2022 coming up as being significant. So it feels like you're in a bit of the processing phase right now. But as we move into the spring a little bit further, that's where I'm seeing opportunities really opening up for you. So it's possible that your buyer isn't in a place where they're ready to be buying yet. But I do see somebody coming through, and it feels like it's going to bring a really positive conclusion to this aspect of life and business. I'm feeling you having already released a lot of it. You're already focusing on other things. And this is just the extra that is there. I'm also seeing some form of sale that's coming up too. So I'm wondering if, I hesitate to call it a garage sale, but or even like an online garage sale, but it feels like there are still some pieces that you're selling to your current clients, either at retail or slightly reduced retail, that wouldn't be at the price that you're selling in bulk to whoever is purchasing from you. So I am seeing some really wonderful opportunities that are coming up. But yeah, the bulk of it feels like it's moving a little bit later this year. As I said, May and June are feeling like significant times. And it is possible that there will be a bit of a split in what you have. So I don't know if you have different aspects that might appeal to different buyers, but it's possible that you will break it into kind of two different parts. I'm being reminded of like all of my soap making equipment and stuff that I have. Aspects of that are really suitable for one person, but the other aspects that for me went along with that business might not make sense. For example, I used to make soap and I used to make lip balms. Somebody who's making soap would have no use likely for lip balm tubes or the filling containers and stuff like that. So that's what I mean when I'm saying splitting, is there might be something where if you split it into two groups, you're able to, one, sell it to somebody more easily, and two, potentially you're able to get more for it as well. Okay, so we're just going to ask, what does Tanya need to know about selling off her business inventory? So the card that we have here for you is the Blessed Change card. This is one of my favorite cards in this deck. And basically, if you look at this mermaid, I'll put it up really close for you. You can see that she is turned right upside down. But even though her world is upside down, everything might be feeling kind of disorganized or chaotic, but she is still smiling. So everything is happening exactly as it needs to. A major life change brings you great blessings. I mean, to me, all of this is confirmation for the choices and decisions that you're making in moving forward and moving beyond where you are now. And part of that is releasing what is no longer serving you or what's no longer in your future, the things that are in the past. As I said, it does feel like it is a good time to start preparing for a buyer, but it feels like it's going to take a little bit of time. But these are the preparatory stages, and you're on the right track. Tanya, it's always a pleasure connecting with you. Thank you for joining me. I'm sending big hugs, lots of love and support your way. Awesome. We've got Kayla here. Hi, Kayla. Thanks for joining us. Let me see. Kayla says, my husband has quite horrible luck with all the small things. How do we clear this negativity? So part of what I'm hearing is a kind of belief systems that have been built into your husband for a long time. It actually reminds me of one of my own family members. And one of the things that is often said about this family member is, "Oh, they always have the worst luck." And it feels like that's part of what has happened for your husband too. I suspect when things started turning out poorly for him, that this idea started creeping into the ideas of the people around him, and it's been reinforced over time. Because anytime something negative happens or that's not good luck, it feels like, ah, there it is, it's happening again, poor guy. So a part of what I'm seeing is that you guys are shifting and seeing the positives in the experiences. So it feels like a lot of this has to do with his mindset, and that even when something does happen, it's not going back into, ah, he always has the worst luck, but going into, wow, I wonder if that saved me from something that was even worse. I remember this story. I'm not going to tell it properly. I won't give it justice. But the long and the short of it is that this old, no, I'm not even going to try to tell it because I know I'm going to botch it up. I will take a look for it and I'll post it on my Facebook page. But basically, it has to do with an old farmer, his wife, and a cow. And oh, no, there it is. So, no, no, it's gone. I'm going to look for it. And there's no point in wasting any more time on it. But it has to do with an old farmer, his wife, and a cow. What do we have? So how else is he shifting and changing his luck? Yeah, the way that he's perceiving the experiences that he's having, rather than focusing on, oh man, this is such a terrible thing. Why did this happen to me? Or whatever mindset that he goes through, whatever thought process he goes through, rather than focusing on those things. Wow, I bet that really saved me from something that was really awful. And so instead of having to go through all of that, I know that this is done here. And now I can focus on this other thing. So I'm seeing a bit of redirection. Yeah, that thing wasn't great, but I'll bet you something else could have happened that would be even worse. Aren't I glad that I'm not walking down this path? Instead, I'm going to focus on this thing, and always taking the focus back around to the things that are positive, the things that are supportive, and the things that are going right. And so maybe it's, man, that thing didn't work, but hey, you've got a really fabulous wife over here, and we're building a really fabulous life together. So focusing on the things that are really positive. It does feel like this is old stuff that isn't even his. This feels like this is other stuff from other people. So if he can make that connection and say, actually, I don't have bad luck, or whatever it is that is said about him, actually that's their stuff, and I'm choosing this pathway instead. And it feels like that way he's able to start carrying forward. We're going to go to the mermaids and dolphins, and we're just going to ask what messages are coming up, oops, for Kayla and her husband. And we had a jumper, and the card that we had here is make a decision. And the message is feeling stuck or indecisive, listen to your intuition and make a decision. And it's really interesting because if we don't make choices or decisions, we're effectively making the decision for things to stay the same, for things to stay as they are. And what is happening, or what is being encouraged here, is to actively make the choice or to make the decision, because it's going to move you forward from where you are right now. So in some ways, it doesn't even necessarily matter what the decision is. The purpose of making the decision is to move out of the place that you're in right now. And so the place that your husband is in this idea of negativity. Well, I'm going to make the choice and the decision that I'm not going to stay there. And in addition to that, when negative things or challenging things happen in the future, I'm not going to see them as that. I'm going to see them as some sort of blessing that I don't know or I don't understand right now. But I'm going to see this as a blessing that's keeping me away from something that would have been worse. And instead, I'm going to focus on this other thing that is really positive. And that's really what I'm wanting to invite in my life. So make a decision to not focus on the negative. I know that can be a really challenging one, especially when it feels like it's been a lifetime's work for him building up to this. But it does feel like there is a lot of support for him energetically around him, and also in you and your relationship too. Kayla, it was such a pleasure connecting with you. Thank you for joining me this evening. I'm sending big hugs, lots of love and support your way. Let me see. Oh, you guys, I'm missing this. That's one of the issues with it taking me a while to get down to the messages. And it looks like we've had a bit of a spammer on this evening. So once I get off here, I'm going to be I'm going to be turning off the comments so that you guys can't continue to be spammed. But I do let you know that I don't work with anybody else except for Bobby, but she would never do this. Recognize that, people do follow my page and they go in and they try to get people to inbox them for readings. If you're drawn to, please fill your boots, but know that they don't have anything to do with me. Let me see. We're saying hello to lots of people. Hello to Carrie and to Angie and Cindy and Michelle. Thanks so much for joining me. Let me see. I've got Angie here. Hi, Angie. Thanks for joining us. Angie says, I'm interested in doing a meditation course or on my own. What time of day do you think is the best time of day, mornings or late evenings? You know what? I think that one's actually a really personal choice. There are some meditations that I really personally enjoy doing in the mornings, but there are other ones that I enjoy doing at night. I think that probably has to do with the best time of day for you. I think that there are advantages to meditating at both times. And actually, I would say if you have the option, I would do both. When you meditate in the morning, it's a really beautiful way to transition from sleep time into your waking time. It can be a great way to prepare yourself for the coming day and to start off on the right foot. Meditating at night is again a really beautiful segue from the day and moving into evening and moving into sleep. It's a wonderful way to kind of open that door into new experiences. So if you just had to choose one, I would try both. See which feels best for you, which resonates the most for you moving forward. But meditation at any time of day serves a really beautiful purpose. And I would focus less on the time and more on what fits in your life the best. Angie, it was such a pleasure connecting with you. Thank you for joining us this evening. And I'm really excited about the meditation journey that you are taking. I hope that you have a wonderful time with it. Yeah. Okay. Teresa, I'm so sorry. We don't do mediumship readings on my show. I would encourage you to pop over to Bobby Roundtree Spiritual Mediums page. I'm hoping that she's going to be doing more shows like this. She was live on Sunday afternoon, and she was connecting with people's loved ones. So I'm sorry that it's not work that I do, but I'm sending big hugs, lots of love and support your way, and to your dad too. So we've got Cindy here. Hi, Cindy. Thanks for joining us. Cindy said, my husband and his son have been estranged. Do you ever see them making up? It's really interesting because I'm seeing them kind of crisscrossing back and forth. And it feels to me that there have been times when your husband has been open, but his son hasn't, and vice versa, where his son has been open, but your husband hasn't. And then things have kind of gotten in the way. I do see them reconnecting, but I'm not sure that it's while they are both alive. And one of the things that can happen for us when we cross over is the arguments and the challenges and the difficulties that we've had in the physical life. They no longer matter, and it's almost like at least one of them is needing to let go of something to the point where it no longer matters to them, and the thing that is most important is the connection with the person. And I'm seeing both of them at different times having come close to that, but that the other person wasn't in a close enough place for it to connect and for it to work. So I do see that there is a reconnection that happens. But as I said, I'm not 100% sure if it's while they are both still here. I know for certain that once they are both on the other side, I see them, hugging and embracing and connecting. And I'm seeing ego having fully and completely left. I'm seeing that it feels like there was contract or decision that was made before they came into this world to have this experience, to have these lessons that they go through. I am seeing that there is desire on at least one side to make to make amends or to make reparation or something to heal. But there's some stubbornness that feels like it's coming up on the other side. Actually, a bit on both sides. It feels like it's a complex and complicated kind of ball of yarn. The best that I can give you is that for sure on the other side, they both healing is offered to both on both sides. That everything that was ego is stripped away and that they do connect at that level. The sense that I have is that there will be one of them who crosses over to the other side and that they're able to start repairing that relationship while the other is still here. And, sometimes the connections that we have with our loved ones, once they've crossed over, are far deeper than they could be when they were here living with us in the physical world. Because as I said, like there are aspects of elements that are aspects of ego that we lose when we cross over to the other side. And possibly part of the grieving process for the one who is left here opens things up, and there's a reprioritization of the things that are important. So what I do see is that there will be a reconnection that happens between them. I'm just not exactly sure when and how it's happening. We're just going to we'll ask the archangels, what do Cindy's husband and his son need to know? We'll keep it as simple as that. So the card that we have here is the Hello from Heaven card. This is Archangel Azrael. Your loved ones in heaven are doing fine. Let go of worries and feel their loving blessings. So I would take this to mean two separate things. One, a confirmation of the messages that we've just shared, but also to know that there is somebody on the other side who is helping and supporting them with this. So I've got a mother energy that is popping through really strongly. And it feels like there is a woman or a mothering energy who is wanting to help and support both of them in healing this relationship so that they can have connection, reconnect while they're both still here. The other aspect that I have is Archangel Azrael is a healer. He helps and supports us with grief. Often we think of grief as the emotion that we experience when somebody passes over, but we experience grief in so many other ways. And a loss of relationship between family members certainly has grief in it as well. So call on Archangel Azrael, ask for help and support in the grieving and the hurting process that's happening while they're both still here. And my fingers are crossed, and I pray that they find peace while they're both still physically here to enjoy it. Cindy, it was a pleasure connecting with you. Thank you for joining us. I'm sending big hugs, lots of love and support your way. And I'm asking Archangel Azrael and any other beings of light that they would be open to working with, that they receive the help and support that they need. Carrie, that's such a sweet thing to say. Carrie says, you always brighten our day. Carrie, I appreciate that so much. You always brighten my day too. Let me see what we have here. You guys are all so welcome. Thank you for joining me. Let me see. Okay, so I've got one more here. I've got Bambi. Hi, Bambi. Bambi saying, good evening, Erin. I have a question this evening. I'm at a changing point in my life, and over the last few years, have had some challenging times. Do you see me meeting my financial goals I'm working on and being fulfilled in life with work and partner? Thank you so much. Love, light, and blessings, Jen. Okay, Jen, I'm going to use Jen instead of Bambi. Let's take a look. What do we have going on for you? Yeah. So when I ask about like financial goals, I'm seeing you like you've got momentum, you're going, it's building. And I'm hearing things like, don't fix something if it's not broken. So it does feel like whatever it is that you're doing right now, it is working. I am feeling kind of tired. I mean, possibly that's because I don't run, and you're showing me running. So I am wanting to encourage you to slow down and to enjoy the things that have happened. And that's what it is. Recognizing the steps that you've already made and celebrating the wins that you've had. I received a really beautiful message from a friend and a client who had joined me for an online summit that I did. And she said, Erin, that was really awesome. I hope you take some time to celebrate what you've just done. it never even occurred to me to slow down enough to celebrate because I was already looking at the next thing that I had to do. So I really appreciated that because one, that's something that I would have said to somebody else, but didn't give myself the time to do. So take a look at how you can take a look at the advice that you offer to others and make sure that you are following it as well. But also make sure that you're taking the time to slow down and to celebrate the wins and the things that you've accomplished along the way. We can become so busy in trying to reach that final goal that we miss all of the little things that we do along the way that we can really be celebrating. And part of what that celebrating does is one, it kind of helps us to maintain perspective outside of the goals that we have for ourselves, and it helps to make sure that we're living in the moment. But it can also give us the energy and the support that we need to keep moving forward. If you think about it as like a long marathon, in a marathon, you don't run for the whole time. You might stop for a minute, catch your breath, maybe you get a drink of water, and then you continue forward. And that stop that you take, even though it's taking away from the time that you could be running, it's also giving you the energy, the support, and the reserves that you need to continue at the pace that you're going at. So make sure that you're slowing down and recognizing the times and the ways in which you are supporting yourself and the things that are meant to be celebrated. I do have a partner that's coming up for you, but everything is kind of being like held off. So um, I'm kind of wondering if there is like a lack of attention that is going into partnership, either a partner who is like currently with you, or that there's somebody who's kind of waiting for you or looking for you, but you're like, I've got this goal. This is what I'm focusing on. So make sure that you take the time to slow down to enjoy the experience of where you are. But I do see things coming together, and as you slow down and as you celebrate, you realize that you have more together than you thought, and that actually the goalpost that you've set is not as far out as perhaps it seems, as you're here running towards it. We haven't used this deck this evening. We're going to go to the messages from your Angels Oracle card deck, and we're just going to ask what messages are coming up for Jen that she needs to know moving forward. I'm going to ask. I've got one about finances, and we're just going to ask one about love life too. So with love life, we've got Archangel Uriel. That says that there's some healing that's going on. Your emotions are healing, which enables you to open to greater love. I will help you release anger and unforgiveness from your heart and mind. So what that says to me is that there's still some healing that's needing to happen in love life realm, either in an existing relationship or in order to allow a new relationship to come in. Sometimes we can become so focused on other goals that we see it as a way, or it ends up being a way. We don't even necessarily see it that way, but it ends up being a way for us to avoid other things that we're working on because we're so focused on this other goal. So make sure you are taking that time. And the card that we had around finances and money, it's the Ray card. Her message is yoga and exercise are essential to your well-being, peace of mind, and spiritual growth right now. Again, like there's this calmness, this need to slow down, to connect with your body on physical level. Yes, like goals are still at the forefront, but make sure that you're slowing down and taking care of yourself on all levels too. Bambi, Jen, it was such a pleasure connecting with you this evening. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm sending big hugs, lots of love and support your way, and lots of manifestation of all of the goals that you're working towards. And actually, I share that with each and every one of you who joined me this evening. May all of the things that you are working on and working towards, may you have the energy, the resources, the time, the finances in order to achieve and to create the life that you are wanting. May there be peace in your heart, your mind, and your soul as you move forward. I am Erin Lee of heavenlymessenger.com, and I thank you so much for joining me for this evening's Connection with Intention. If you would like to book your own personal reading, please pop over to my website, bookingwitherin.com. I believe there are still a couple of appointments available for next week, but things have been booking up fairly quickly. I would so love to connect with you. I look forward to seeing you next week, and I believe Bobby and I will be live with our Universal Connections chat, Oracle chats on Sunday evening, Sunday afternoon, which will be at 3:30 Pacific, which is 6:30 p.m. Eastern time. Sending big hugs, lots of love and support your way. We'll see you next week.